Welcome. Thank you all for coming tonight. It's great to have you all here. I'm excited about tonight's presentation. We're going to talk about making your move. So this is all about you and how you can make the most out of your meals and your workouts or your exercise routines. And I know we all have different habits and different things and different goals maybe that we're working on now, but today's goal is just to try to do a little better than you're doing right now. So again, this is all about you, and I'm excited to be here with you tonight. So a little bit about me. My name is Lindsay Porter Reed. I'm a graduate student at the University of New England studying nutrition, applied nutrition, and my emphasis is in nutrition and disease prevention. I also have my bachelor's degree from BYU, Brigham Young University, in fitness and wellness management. I am a dental hygienist as well. And as you can see, my interests, I have a lot of interests. I like learning about chronic disease prevention, health promotion, fitness training, exercise physiology, sports, and oral health. Those are all things that I'm super interested in. But my favorites are my family, fitness, and food. So I'd like to get to know all of you a little bit better. If you could each, we're going to do a little introduce ourselves. If each of you could come up one by one, and as you come up and introduce yourself, you could say your name, and then if you could write on this board here your favorite food, your favorite dish, dinner, breakfast, whatever you want, just your favorite thing up on this whiteboard over here. So if we could start here with you on the corner, and come on up and introduce yourself.
My name is Shawnee Huntington, and my favorite food is pizza. You want me to draw
There might be a black marker down there that might show up a little bit better. But will that show up? Oh, great. She didn't draw it. Perfect. All right, great. Thanks, Shawnee.
And I'm Paige Jones, and my favorite is enchiladas.
Yum. I love enchiladas.
Oh, I thought I just draw pictures.
Bonus points for pictures. That's great.
My name is Michelle Porter, and my favorite food is bananas.
Your favorite? Awesome. Okay. Do you have a favorite dish with bananas in it?
Banana bread. Banana bread.
Okay.
My name's Dennis, and I like anything Mexican food.
Okay. All right. Thank you all. Good to have you again. So we're just going to keep this in mind as we go throughout our presentation today. But just to go over our game plan for what we've got today for tonight's presentation is first we're going to talk about how we're doing now. So we're going to figure out how we did kind of compared yesterday to how we maybe should be doing compared to the American guidelines for healthy eating. And then we're going to talk about the benefits of a plant-based diet, and then also the benefits of physical activity. And then we're going to talk about we know a lot of those. All of us kind of know that it's good for us to eat healthy and exercise, but the hard part is there's barriers and there's things that make it hard for us to do, the things that we know we should do. So we're going to spend a lot of time kind of talking about what those barriers are and then how to overcome those. And it'll be different for each of us. So you're going to tailor this to yourself and kind of pick those things that apply to you and the ones that don't, you can disregard. But we're going to give a few little tips on short workouts that we can fit into our exercise, so we can fit exercise into our day. And then also, we're going to do a little cooking here. We're going to make a little meal We can show you how quick and easy and nutritious a meal can be, and something that you can maybe take home and try with your families. And then finally, at the end, we hopefully will all make a deal. We're going to make a deal with each other and with our families. We can kind of make a commitment. That's one of the best ways to make behavior changes. So we're all here kind of learning together and supporting each other in this effort tonight. So we're going to start out first with, like we talked about, this little survey here. And if you can just mark off how you did yesterday. With you can kind of mark on there, just estimate if you don't quite remember, or maybe how you did today, since we're kind of at the end of the day today. You can think of how many fruits you had, and how many servings of vegetables you had, and then also how much time do you estimate you spent being physically active. If your activity isn't on there, you can make your own, or just kind of guess. All right, has everyone had a chance to fill theirs out? All set? Okay, so now we're going to look at, this is what the dietary guidelines for Americans represent right now. This is the latest, the 2015 to 2020 guidelines and what they recommend. And it varies a little bit depending on how many calories you eat throughout the day. But most of us fall within the range between 1.5 to 2 cups of fruit a day. And what we have, that can be anything. That can be fresh, canned, frozen. Those all have the nutrients and things that we need, so those all count. You can eat them whole, even 100% fruit juice counts, dried fruits. When we have dried fruits though, and the juices, those smaller amounts of those equal more than their weight in, or their volume in cups. So like say you make a 4th cup of dried fruits or cranberries or something is closer to what the nutrient value would be for 1/2 to 3/4 cups of fruit. So, and then we want 2 to 3 cups of vegetables. So those can be dark green, orange, red. This also includes beans, peas, and starchy vegetables like corn, potatoes, all of that. And again, these can be fresh, canned, frozen, cooked, or raw. They're all good. And the important thing with that is that it's great to eat a variety of all these, the fresh, the canned, the frozen, especially cooked and raw. Different nutrients come out when we cook vegetables, fruits and vegetables, and we get other nutrients are preserved when we eat them raw. So it's good to eat both, the cooked and the raw, to kind of get all the nutrients that we want out of our fruits and vegetables. So then we can come over to the physical activity recommendations, and they recommend at least 150 minutes a week. So that looks like if you exercise 5 days a week, that's about 30 minutes a day. And it's recommended that we get in cardio or the aerobic exercise, good things for your heart, or else, and also the resistance or the muscle strengthening exercises. So we need both, and it's recommended that we get those, or that they're at moderate to vigorous intensity. So what I like to do to remember what that means or what that looks like, and I'll give you guys a handout here so you can see what these choices are, and actually we'll cover that here in a minute. But if you can talk while you're exercising, but still kind of breathing heavy, that's kind of more moderate. For the vigorous or the real intense exercise, you can't really talk. So like when you're swimming laps maybe, or running sprints, or doing a real hike, things like that, that might fit more into the vigorous category. So those are our goals. How do we do? Anybody get close? Are we a little ways away? How are we feeling about these goals?
With the way I'm exercising. Me too. I'm at about 0 minutes a day.
Short on everything.
Move up short on things. Okay, no, that's fine. It's great. Good place to start here. So we're gonna come up with a plan to be able to get a little closer to these. And as we talk tonight, just gotta be thinking in mind, what makes it so hard for us to reach those goals? Just with trying to get more fruits and vegetables and more physical activity. Like, does the media kind of influence us? Maybe our friends, with the social aspects of our life make it difficult. Are our goals pushing us to do it? Or maybe family are supportive, maybe not supportive. And then like our culture, are we set up to kind of be a little more sedentary with our work style and things like that, and just the pace of our lives? Kind of think in your mind what it is for you. What's influencing you and your choices as we go through this. And one thing that influences especially African American women, that's kind of our focus tonight. And I know we don't have any from that population here with us tonight, but just to talk about and kind of give us an idea, and this may apply to you as well, but it's just one of the things that influences us. So I'm going to watch this video here and I want to hear your thoughts afterwards.
Surprised that obesity is on the rise in the U.S. What is alarming is that according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 50% of all Black adults are obese, and 20% of the U.S. Black adolescent population is obese. A new study finds Black kids are exposed to junk food ads much more than their white counterparts, and critics believe it's done on purpose. Here's RT correspondent Ashley Banks with more on the study. According to a new study from the Root Center for Food Policy and Obesity, Black teenagers see junk food ads 50% more than white teenagers. Researchers found Black youth spend time watching what the center calls youth-targeted and Black-targeted networks like Fuse, BET, VH1, and Nick at Night. Nielsen found these Black-targeted networks air the highest number of food advertisements than networks that usually have predominantly white audiences. These networks air more ads an hour than white teenagers see in an entire day. The study found African American children aged 12 to 17 saw close to 19 food ads every day in 2008. Fast forward to 2012, that number jumped to 24.2 ads per day. That's a 30% increase. The eating of fast food, junk food, sodas, and the like can have severe consequences on an individual's health. Some are able to avoid making terrible health decisions as they can afford it. But for those African Americans who live in poor communities, it's hard to avoid purchasing bad food after being bombarded with ads. Now, according to the American Diabetes Association, African Americans are more likely to have diabetes than any other race. Right now, 13.2% of all African Americans have been diagnosed with diabetes. Now, that's compared to 7.6% of whites, 9% of Asian Americans, and 12.8% of Latino Americans. Although the food industry hasn't put out a statement as to why Black kids are shown junk food ads more than any other race, critics argue the food industry is targeting its most vulnerable demographic, poor Black kids. Now, the World Health Organization is asking governments around the world to take action protecting kids from seeing junk food ads. The organization has gone as far as recommending the meaning of kids be increased from 12 years of age to 16. However, in the United States, the food industry is in charge of making its decision on what it wants to advertise and who it wants to advertise to. The food industry argues that they have improved the quality of products advertised to kids, and that if the age of kids increases, it would wrongly impact their advertising towards adults. Now, Francis Fleming-Malici, the marketing researcher at the Root Center, said this leaves it up to parents and educators to try to counter the junk food ads that young African Americans are continuously exposed to. and Washington actually banks are king.
All right, so kind of going back to that previous slide, that's one of the things maybe that media has a big impact on us. Did you guys have any other thoughts from that video stand out to you, or any concerns? Kind of a sad deal that we got so much, bombarded so much with those kinds of commercials, I think, for everybody. Any thoughts, anyone?
I think ads matter. Like if I see a Taco Bell commercial, I want Taco Bell.
Right?
But I think you are influenced by media. All those things I think you're influenced by, but from the video, I think that you, like, I remember watching TV shows too and seeing like someone's eating like a greasy pizza, but then I crave it, so I want it. So I think the more you see something, then it must connect with like, because sometimes I feel like your mouth can even water, like when you see something that you want.
Oh yeah,
It
yeah.
must be connected somehow.
It's a real thing. That's the whole food industry, the advertisement business is centered around that, the visual stimuli. It has a physiological effect on your brain and your system. So it's really powerful. And the more often we see something, the more it stays in our minds too. And we've got not only with the television ads and things, we see it all over the place with billboards and different things, and social media, it's everywhere. So I want to keep an eye out and remember that as we go. But just kind of, they talked about this in the video a little bit, but just to give us an idea for women, this is all women in the United States, and we don't represent every group here, but we've got in the green here is African American women, and then the lighter yellow is white women, and then the orangish color is the Hispanic group. And we've got Asians and American Indians and a lot of other groups too. They don't hit quite as high as these. I take that back. In diabetes, we do, American Indians are up there as well. But just kind of scary as we look at this, just as a whole even, what is kind of really alarming is this overweight and obesity. So this category includes both overweight and obese women. And for Black American women, they're up at 82% of the population is at least overweight. And so it is a major problem, and that's kind of what leads to the rest of these diabetes and hypertension. They're all connected there. But those are kind of some alarming statistics, and this was from 2 years ago. And as in that video, it's already gotten a little bit worse, as she reported. So another thing that adds to that is this is how much exercise we get in each of these groups. So we can see for aerobic activity, you're doing okay. About half the population meets or gets close to the recommendation for aerobic activity. But only what's really recommended is the mix of muscle strengthening activities and aerobic activity, and those are much lower. And we need that muscle, we need both, but the muscle activity is really important because as we age, we need that for bones and joint and muscle strength, all that. So, but probably the most alarming thing is that almost 55% of African American women met neither of those recommendations. So they aren't getting really much exercise at all in either of those areas. So when we look at those charts and we think, why is our risk so high? And it's what we've talked about. A lot of it has to do with our diet. A study found back in 2012 that on average, the African American diet is about 35% of their calories come from fat, and that should be lower. It should be at least below 30%. And then 12% comes from saturated fat, and that also should be much lower. The study found that the diets, the amount of fruits and vegetables in the diet was really pretty low. Only, 88% of African Americans need any dark green leafy vegetables, and 94%, most of them had no deep yellow vegetables. So and none of that at all. So they, not surprisingly, they fall short for the recommended dietary allowances for vitamin E, vitamin B6, calcium, magnesium, zinc. And you think, oh, that's probably not that big a deal, but those all impact. We need, if we have one nutrient deficiency or one imbalance, it will affect the others, and it can just be a domino effect. We can build on a lot more problems that affect our hearts, that affect our bones, our whole system. So that's a big deal to not get enough vitamins and minerals. And then again, as we talked about, just not getting enough exercise. And so, so those are two big pieces. And then as we talked about before, the environment is another big piece. So things like what we're surrounded with, our circumstances, maybe our personal shopping habits or finances, everything like that can all impact us. So this next part is going to kind of think about how are we going to do this, will we navigate through our food environment. And so be thinking of that, and as we do that, we kind of, in my mind, or to simplify it, like how are we going to do this, the goal is to make whole food become the new soul food for us. So soul food, as we know, it tastes great, it's high in fat and saturated fat, sodium, really high in sugar, highly processed foods, tastes really good, it's usually quick, faster food, they're simple ingredients, easy to make, and it's what we've known. It's kind of, for African Americans, that is part of us, it's part of their tradition, their heritage, their history, and it's a big part of their identity, and it's almost, if you don't have this, it's kind of strange. But we're moving away from that. There's a trend back towards eating more healthy. So kind of switching back to lower fat, low sodium, whole foods, fruits and vegetables, grains and lean meats that aren't processed, the whole food. And the interesting thing is, when the African Americans, before they came here, before we had slavery in Africa, they ate a lot more fruits and vegetables and a little lean meat as well, but nothing like the soul food that they're kind of created once they came here and were just eating leftover scraps and things like that. So the true heritage is really, if we went back to their traditional diet, it would be something more like a whole food based diet or plant based diet. So just to brainstorm here too, these are some of the ideas. I'm going to ask you guys first, but what are the benefits of a plant based diet? If we look here, as we talked about, we get a lot more vitamins, minerals, and much needed fiber that helps us maintain regularity. It reduces our risk for all kinds of diseases, obesity, cancer. It helps control our diabetes or even cure our diabetes. It can improve our mood and energy. We have better cognitive function, clearer thinking, clearer skin, better sleep, and increases our longevity. And there's a lot of research on these. These are just the common ones that everyone has found over the years for eating a plant-based diet or more fruits and vegetables in your diet. And also it's fun, it adds taste and color and variety to your meals. So we'll talk a little bit more how to do that. So just to brainstorm together here, what are your barriers to eating more plants? And you can just raise your hand or just shout out. What makes it hard to eat fruits and vegetables?
They're not prepared.
They're not prepared, okay.
There's too much junk food first, so then it doesn't sound good after there's other unhealthy food with it or before it.
Okay, yeah, that's a big one. There's it's hard to choose a carrot if you have a donut filling this right next to it. Yeah, that's a big one. Any other ones?
I don't really crave vegetables and fruits that much.
You don't crave,
When I'm
yeah.
hungry and I think about what I want, like I don't usually feel, I don't
It's
know.
not easy
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
make.
Doesn't
Okay.
sound as good as other options.
Right, yeah. And that can be too. So a lot of times when we're really hungry, we crave those simple carbs like that we can digest quick and they give us fast energy. So, yeah, that can be something. Any other things that make it hard or less appealing to make more plant-based foods?
The fresh fruit and vegetables have to be fresh, and they just don't last as long. So something unhealthy lasts a lot longer because it's processed and probably has preservatives. So the more healthy stuff just doesn't last as long. So it's maybe a little less likely to be purchased just because of that reason, that they might be throwing it out if they don't eat it in time.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Perishable and all the processed food will last a lot longer, so it's kind of a sustainability thing. And if you're on a tight budget, it's really tough to buy those fresh fruits and vegetables on a regular basis. No, those are good. These are some that a study came across for African American families, what they thought were their top reasons of why they don't eat more fruits and vegetables. And first, like you said, just takes too much time maybe to prepare. It's not as convenient. It's easy to just grab something packaged and eat that, or run through fast food. Too expensive. Also, the boring, bland taste, and they're not as exciting maybe as the foods with more fat and sugar and salt and things. Also, harder meal prep. I feel like there's no good recipes, and a big one is that they say their kids won't eat them, and so that's probably a big thing. Trying to get everyone on board in the family to eat these. All right, so some strategies to eat more fruits and vegetables, and I've got a lot of handouts for you here too, but here are a few that I also found. This is on the Choose My Plate website that the USDA puts on, but just some ideas to think about. First off, there's faster ways to cook them. You can cook them in the microwave. Like you can cook a potato, you can steam vegetables, you can do a lot of things in the microwave. You can also, it helps to have them pre-cut, so they're already ready in the fridge and are even out on the counter sometimes for the kids to eat. They're in sight too. That's a good thing to kind of keep them there so you see that instead of the other snacks and things. And then from a financial point, it's best to try to buy the fruit and vegetables in their season. They can be a little bit cheaper and they taste better, have more flavor. And then also it's smart to stock up on the frozen and canned. And those, the taste of fresh, I like fresh vegetables and fruits probably the best, but these can be really good and be nice to just throw into a recipe or just to add a few more nutrients. And the difference is very small between the amount of nutrients in a fresh fruit or vegetable and what's in frozen or canned. They preserve quite a bit. So as long as you're not getting those that have been canned in syrups, sugary syrups, or salt, they can be really good substitutes for fresh and frozen. And then to help the kids get on board, you can have them be in charge of planning a meal. These are all kind of kid-friendly ideas. Make a fruit and veggie dips, and they like to dip things, so that could be fun. Or you can sneak it into smoothies, soups, add them to all kinds of recipes. Again, buying things in bulk and then cooking in batches and freezing leftovers is a good way to save money a little bit too. And I've got all these in handouts for you guys too, but just for some ideas for breakfast, adding some fruit to your cereal, snack, just taking a simple apple or something to work. Trying to get in your meals be mostly based around vegetables like salads, and then trying to include at least a couple vegetables with your meal. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just adding more in to what you're already eating. Maybe you can have macaroni and cheese and then a side of green beans or peas, or just adding in those nutrients, and we can slowly build on that over time. And then also as you're eating out, that can be a challenge sometimes, but here's just a couple ideas. You can always order from the side. A lot of times they have steamed vegetables and different side items. You can make your whole meal out of the sides. You can also ask for extra veggies with whatever meal you get. A lot of times you can make your own burritos. You can do, depending on where you're at, and you can ask to have vegetables instead of the protein, the other meats that they have. And also, it's always a good idea. You can ask for fruit for a dessert or for a side if everyone else is ordering dessert. So now we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about physical activity. And we kind of know that these are some of the main reasons we want to exercise. We want to reduce our risk for disease, lose weight, tone muscles, strengthen our bones, helps us manage stress. A lot of sports will help us learn how to develop team building skills, and it's a good social outlet. It improves mood, increases energy and sleep. So we know all of those things, and those have been studied and can be supported in the literature. But we know that. But so what? If we know it's so good for us, what makes it so hard for us to be physically active? What are your guys' ideas?
Time and money.
Time and money. Time.
Time is the
Child care, yeah, absolutely. Jobs.
Yeah, too busy with
Working. Perfect. Yeah, there's I think of a lot of reasons. Sometimes, too, like if we have an injury or something, it can make us nervous to work out. Maybe we don't feel well, or we're afraid we're going to get hurt or something, so we don't do that. So this is just a video kind of showing what maybe we can relate to some of these reasons for not being active. But this is a little bit silly, but just a little YouTube video to see.
I cannot wait to get home and get to rest because I am tired. I finally have some time to put together my workout schedule. Summer's around the corner, so I've got to start working out again. I'm working on Mondays, maybe Tuesdays, no. Okay, Wednesdays for sure. Oh, goodness, tomorrow. Oh, shoot, the lights is on. I guess I'll go to the gym now. I'm way too tired. I'm gonna go take a nap. I'll be back tomorrow. Oh my, am I hungry? Not for jumping off. Definitely not. Makes my stomach hurt. No to Wendy's because just no. Taco Bell? Oh, shoot, is that McDonald's? Hey, it's McDonald's. Yeah, I'm in Florida town. Oh, I hit the gym. Let me call Keisha, see if she's available to come work out with me.
Hey Keisha, how you doing, girl?
I'm good. What's up?
I was just calling to ask if you wanted to go work out.
You trying to work out today?
Yeah, I'm looking right now, actually.
Girl, I would.
Oh, okay, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll work on it another time.
Every single time I come to the gym, I do the same thing. I do leg extensions, I do abs, and I go home. Leg extensions every single day. There's got to be something else I can do. Let me look up some gym memberships. $62? This weird. I've been working out, I've been kicking butt in the gym. Let's see how much progress I made. Already taking my shirt off now. But just a second. I've been working out for 3 weeks now. I've gotten lost weight. Good riddance. That weight probably took like 4 pounds.
So it's kind of funny, but can anyone relate to any of those excuses? No, it's hard. I'm tired, or just get bored of our routine. There's a lot of different things. Example, but just to kind of review some of the things we talked about. Maybe we're tired, lack of motivation, no time, we're afraid we'll get hurt, expensive gym memberships, no childcare. And then also sometimes we have these things we can't really control. Maybe there's not a gym close by us, the neighborhood isn't safe to work out in or run on the streets. There's not enough public, or there's no close public park for the kids to play in. And all those things are kind of centered around low income areas, and people that have lower incomes kind of struggle with those things. So kind of think to yourself, what motivates you to exercise? And here's some ideas, but if you could jot down on your paper maybe one thing, or write down one thing that maybe helps you be motivated. Is it to lose weight? Are you hoping to turn muscle? Are you worried about disease risk? You just want to age well, sleep better, look better, feel better? Is your doctor kind of the one that motivates you most, or your kids, grandkids? Having a workout buddy, is that helpful? And is it having like a nice gym close by that's free, or a club that you can go to, nearby parks and gyms, those kind of things? So everyone could jot down maybe what you think, and if anyone wants to share, they can, and what motivates them to exercise.
Lose weight, be healthy, sleep good, look and feel good, and a workout buddy.
Okay, perfect. That's great. A lot of motivators there. It's good. So kind of be thinking of those things. And then like we talked about before, here's a list. I'll give this to you too, but just kind of to tell the difference between moderate and vigorous exercise, and give you an idea of what those look like. Maybe just walking pretty fast, riding a bike, kind of leisurely, even gardening, dancing, these kind of things. And then more for the more vigorous is running, jogging, doing like freestyle swimming, basketball, tennis, those kinds of things can get our heart rates up even more and be considered more vigorous. So now we're just gonna talk about, some of the things that we can do if we don't have a gym, if we don't have any time, we don't have money, or we don't have a babysitter. Some of the things that we can do anywhere, and that includes kind of things you can do at work, things you can do at home. The free things you can do, also healthy defaults. And those are things like taking the stairs instead of the elevator, or parking farther away in the parking lot, and when you go shopping at the grocery store, or kind of setting yourself up to where you have to be a little more active. Those are all really good, healthy defaults that can be built into your day. And then family fun things that you can do together. But next we're going to do, this is just a little video on what we can all stand up together and do this with this presenter. Just, they're little quick exercises that we can do. This is actually what you could do at work if you didn't have much time, or maybe just little stretches here and there. So just to get us stretching out and moving a little bit.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Barrett, Wellness Coordinator for the University of Nebraska-Lincoln Campus Recreation. I also work with the Chancellor's Committee on Wellness. Today I'm going to show you a couple of different exercises that you can do at your desk to get your brain working again, your blood flowing, and give you a little energy throughout the day. You can either march at your desk or take a walk around for about 30 seconds. And now let's breathe in.
It's an abbreviated version.
And exhale at the top. Breathe reach those shoulder blades back down and together. One more time. Inhale up. And exhale down. Go ahead and pull those shoulders back. Know that when we are setting, we do an awful lot of the shoulders rolling forward. Here you go. And go ahead and stretch one arm down and across, and then the other arm down and across. And our neck, which is where we carry a lot of stress, can be stretched out. You never want to roll it. Maybe just take it to the side a couple of times. Deep inhale. All right. Now, when you are working at a desk, you either want to make sure that A, it doesn't have, your chair doesn't have rollers, or B, it's secured enough. And I'm going to show you one exercise that you can do that a lot of quote-unquote gym rats do. Don't have to be a gym rat to do it. Really does a lot of good for your quadriceps, your hamstrings, and your glutes. We are just going to sit down and stand up on the chair. Now, if you are not able to do a full sit-down stand-up, you can also do a part squat, just bringing that glute backwards towards your chair. You'll be very surprised that your heart rate increases fairly quickly at this. We're just going to stretch through that back. You can either put both arms here, or if you're looking for a deeper stretch, through the back of your chair. And now we'll go across to the other side. Go inhale, exhale. I'm going to show you one more leg exercise. Just really working your quadriceps and your hip flexors. Sit at the edge of your desk. And we're just simply going to bring that leg up and down. You'll be surprised how much you can feel that hip flexor. If this gets hard, just bend that knee. For an isometric hold, that means your muscle length isn't changing. You can hold it up there and you can really feel that 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's finish that off with 10 more, either with your legs straight out, or again, we can bend them. Other exercises are push-ups. Push-ups are phenomenal for your upper body. And a beginner may put their hands up against the wall and start the push-up there. An intermediate may put their hands at the edge of the desk and start the push-up there. Whereas an advanced exerciser may be down on the ground doing the push-ups there. All right, so those are a few simple things that you can do at your desk. Also, just taking a few deep breaths and bringing those shoulders down and together, leaving a nice strong core would be another great way to end it. Thank you and have a great day.
All right, how's everybody feel? Notice a difference at all?
Energized.
Energized, blood flowing a little bit?
Relax.
Yeah, and that was just, that video was a 3-minute video. Oh, so that's something you could do every hour or two at work, squeeze it in. Or even do those things at home too. So this last part, or second to last part of this presentation, we're going to make a meal. So we're going to try to incorporate what we talked about, adding some more fruits and vegetables, kind of show you a meal that you can make in 15 minutes or less with 5 ingredients or less, and something you could take on the road. It's super cheap on a budget. It's 100% vegetarian. It also is, it kind of involves you substituting in healthy oils and things like that, and then it can be kid friendly too. So we're going to do that, but just to go back to what we talked about in the beginning here, and Sean, if you want to come up first and tell us what you would do to make maybe your pizza a little more nutritious. What are your suggestions based on what we've been talking about?
Could add more vegetables.
Yeah? Like what kinds do you think would be good?
Peppers and mushrooms and onions and
That's great. Yeah, you can just load that up with lots of fruits and vegetables. You can even make like a vegetable crust out of cauliflower or different vegetables too. If you want to get adventurous, you can do that. But yeah, that's great. That's great suggestions. Good ideas. All right, Paige, what do you think first?
Same thing of adding lots of vegetables in it. Maybe taking the tortillas out and doing like the enchilada sauce with grilled onions, chilies, like
Oh,
all
yeah.
the chicken, everything that goes in the tortilla, but with crunchy vegetables instead of tortillas.
Yeah. That would be perfect. Yeah, I love to add corn. Sometimes I'll put in my enchiladas or chop up some, black beans, onions, maybe even grilled bell peppers or something. I'll try that. Could get creative and anything. So, Cheryl, what is your?
Well, I could not have the banana bread and just have the bananas and the Greek yogurt with diced up strawberries, more fruits.
Yeah, lots of great ideas.
Well, maybe for the Mexican food, I should do more like fajitas instead of so much greasy cheese kind of stuff.
Okay, so a lot of maybe grilled peppers and onions and great, perfect, good ideas. So we're gonna come over here for just a second, and we're gonna, if anybody that wants to help out, just have a meal over here. We'll adjust this a little bit where you can see. This is an easy, quick meal you could make on a weeknight for your family. Just takes probably 5 minutes or so, or less. But what it has in it, just to show you guys first, you want to come on over around the table. You can see I've kind of given us a head start here, but you want to put in, it's basically a bean salad or bean salsa. So you'll have a can of pinto beans, you can use any beans you want, kidney beans, black beans, you can use fresh or canned or frozen corn, any of those work. So what I did is I strained all of those and poured them in here. And so those have been sitting there. And then what we want to do is we can dice up, and whoever has clean hands, if anybody's like to cut those up,
You wash your
we
hands
can
in
do.
here.
Oh yeah, we've got a restroom here. We can wash hands here. I'll mix this up a little bit, but just to show you, so you've got the beans in there, and then for the sauce, I add a little bit of vinegar. You can use any kind you want. Pour that in, and I don't even measure. You can measure if you'd like, but it turns out about the same every time. Then you can use olive oil. This is actually a lemon olive oil, just to give it a little more of a citrusy taste. So pour maybe just a tablespoon or less for the whole salad. So mix those up, and it's kind of nice to let those soak for a little bit. And then, Paige, if you want to come in too, you can chop one of these if you like.
Kind of smaller.
Yeah, you just kind of dice them up, however you like. Just probably diced is perfect. And great, guys. That's good. And I'll toss out some of the pieces. And if you want, you can add an avocado, dice that up. You can squeeze in some lime juice. You can also dice up green onions if you'd like. It depends on the flavor you want. You can add cilantro. I really like that. You can pretty much add anything you want, any vegetables, and you can add diced tomatoes. You can add actually salsa to this too to make it a little spicier, or some kind of hot sauce to kind of get it a little bit of a kick. But yeah, I think we spent a total of maybe 2 minutes so far. And this is something that lasts a long time too, and it almost tastes better if it marinates all together in the fridge. You can eat it right away, or just kind of store it through the week. Sure, we can have to dice that whole thing if you don't want to, but perfect. But these 3 cans, this makes probably there's about probably 10 to 12 servings in this with these 3 cans of beans, the 3 bell peppers alone. If you add more, you can make it more. Oh, and with the corn as well. And so in a serving, there's only you're getting tons of protein, lots of fiber, all kinds of nutrients, but fairly low on the calorie count. And also it's pretty, for all these ingredients, it costs a total just under $6 for the fresh vegetables, the canned food. And if you need to buy, it would be more expensive if you need to buy more olive oil or vinegar, but just for these fresh ingredients, that costs about $6 for 12 or more servings. That's pretty good. All right, thank you. Perfect. Okay, and then everyone would like to do a little taste test just to see. I know you can. If you're trying to watch your processed foods, you can just eat it plain, but it's also great with tortilla chips, and I'm grabbing you guys some spoons. I forgot to get those. All right.
So tasty.
What do we think? Is it better than we expected? Not as good?
It's a lot of flavors. It's not bland.
Not bland. Oh, good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, you can spice it up a little bit more too, if you'd like. But perfect, thank you. All right. Okay. So now we've got to taste a meal and try it out. Everyone's thoughts. Did you like that? Is it
So
tastes
good.
like
Yep, tasty.
good?
It's filling and flavorful. Very
And I like
satisfying.
the crunch of the pepper. A lot of textures.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a fun, easy one, healthy meal to make. So this, as we close out tonight, our last thing we're going to do is decide on an action plan. So I've got some ideas here for you. You can kind of circle the ones that look like something you might want to try, or if you have your own idea, if you come up with something that you want to do based on what we've talked about so far, you can write that in. But I just want to give you a couple minutes as you're trying out your dinner. This first sheet, well, first you're gonna kind of make a plan. So you can pick from this first sheet here, kind of those, maybe you want to, your goal this week is to shop with a friend, or maybe it's buy fruits that don't require any cutting and things like that, maybe to make it a little easier. And yeah, so then and then also, that'll help you kind of identify strategies that you want to use. And then you're going to go ahead and make make a commitment or make these self-monitoring checklists. I'll give you this that you can take home with you and kind of mark off those each day, how you did on how many fruits and vegetables you had each day. And you kind of see over the week and kind of set your goals on there and take this home with you too. So I'll give you those now. You can start looking these over and fill these out. You can also do those. And then the second sheet is some ideas. You can circle those ones that you might want to try out for this week. Take a few minutes. And you can talk together and brainstorm together on ideas that, action plans that might work for you.
I need to cook.
You can kind of fill out how many cups of fruit you want to eat this week and how many cups of vegetables, or in the day, each day, kind of set a goal. And then
45 minutes exercise
how much exercise.
a day.
Great, so kind of mark that in there, and then you keep that weekly log there, just kind of to go through each day, keep track of how you do over the week, and see. And these handouts, they're all on the USDA's website that has, you can get these and print out more for, or make copies of this one and keep track for more than a week too. You track your progress over time. So that's the best thing to do. Sometimes we don't realize how we're doing. It's kind of nice to mark it down and remind us to keep up with it. So. Perfect. Did everyone have a chance to fill their goals out? Mm-hmm. All right. And so I just want to close and thank you all for coming. It's great to have you all here tonight. I hope you had a good time and were able to learn something new. And I really appreciate your time coming on and spending time tonight. Anyone have any questions at all before we close?
Thank you so much. I'm motivated.
Great to hear.
That was good. That's some good goals.
Interesting.
Thanks again. And if you want any references or resources, got these for you here. And if you wouldn't mind just taking a second, this is just a little evaluation sheet. So if I do this another time, I can try and make some improvements of kind of what you liked, if it was helpful, not helpful. And I think the last two questions may not apply to our group, but if you can just take a minute to fill that out, and I'll collect those in a minute.